And before we start this episode, I'd like to say the opinions expressed on this episode are mine and mine alone, and not the opinion of my employer, who has nothing to do with this podcast. Also, they're very well thought out opinions, and you should not argue with them. No, I actually would like you to argue with them. Anyway, on with the show.
Help, I'm being held hostage in the basement of Mike Dell's house. Okay, I'll say it. You're listening to Mike Dell's World.
And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the case may be. This is Mike Dell's World, and it's a Napod Pomo 21. And let's see, this is the fourth episode of the month. Should be episode 369 of Mike Dell's World. And today we're going to talk about something in current events, because that's what I said I was going to do every Thursday. It's going to be current events. And kind of the reason I pick current events on Thursdays is I tend to go solve the world's problems with a friend of mine. We go out and have dinner usually on Thursday or Friday, most of the time on Thursdays. And of course we talk about events going on in the world and locally and in broadcasting, because he's a broadcast engineer and I'm a broadcast watcher, I should say. Been in and out of it, podcasting and broadcasting, that kind of thing all goes together. So get to talk about that. But a lot of the times we always talk about what news sources, he always brings up, I read this article about blah, 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 or I saw this deal about blah, 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 and it's funny. He reads and watches different things than I read and watch. Neither of us watch the mainstream stuff anymore. I've got to the point where I can't even turn it on. I don't have cable. We've got rid of the cable famously a couple of years ago anyway, 2 or 3 anyway. It's been a while. Excuse me, gotta get settled here because I think I'm going to talk a long time. No, not really. Just had to get a little bit comfortable in the chair here. I got a new desk chair and I'm not exactly sure I like it. We'll see. May have to go back to the old one. But anyway, got rid of cable, so I don't see, the cable news. We mainly for entertainment purposes. Kathy and I, we watch Netflix and Paramount Network because we're kind of into Star Trek-y stuff, and they have all the Star Trek there, and I think we got Hulu. The basic Hulu, so can watch some of the old stuff, and we watch I guess Amazon. I have Amazon Prime. Of course, we don't watch a lot of stuff on there, and then there's a few of the free ones. I have Newsmax, which I don't watch very often, but I do every once in a while. It's semi-interesting. You'll find that in my list of news sources, Newsmax really isn't in there. Not that they're bad or anything. It's just like Fox News, when I used to have cable, Fox News is just as over the top as all of them. It's the problem. I've always said, famously, that the problem with 24-hour news networks is there isn't really 24 hours worth of news ever. I mean, never. You can get caught up in a half an hour. I'm not quite old enough to remember when the nightly news on NBC or CBS or ABC was 15 minutes. But when they first started it, that was the national news was 15 minutes. And, now they've drug it out to have a 24-hour network. And there's several of them now. There's Newsmax and Fox News. For the big ones, it's Newsmax, Fox News, CNBC, MSNBC. CNN Headline. I mean, a lot of them are just talk show networks too, after a certain point. So it's not all hard news. But like I said, there's not 24 hours worth of news, so they got to make shit up. And they do. And all of them do it, left, right, center. Well, there is no center. That's the thing. But I have found that there are some, people in and shows and networks and podcasts and whatnot that I find is a pretty good source of news. I mean, you do want to sort of stay informed, but if you watch the NBC Nightly Scare, and that's what it is. I mean, I like Lester Holt, as a host, he's a great host, but I can't watch it anymore. It's literally, you find the worst way to look at any one thing that they talk about, and that's what they're going to report. And if it leans at all to the right, if it's not, sucking the teat of the Democrats, it ain't going to be on. Especially when Trump was president. I was no super fan of Donald Trump, but he was nowhere near as bad as they make him out to be. But I mean, you would think he was the Antichrist, the devil incarnate. He was just the most terrible person on the planet, and everything that went wrong was his fault, and everything that went good wasn't his doing. And that's not true. That's just as untrue as the other way. Anyway, yeah, blah 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 blah. So here's my TV news sources that are for TV stuff. Basically, I watch the Rubin Report on YouTube or Rumble. I know Rumble is controversial because it's conservative. Oh no, but there he's on YouTube too. It's the same show. But I watch Rubin Report. That's usually the daily thing is once not always, but most of the time once a day. It's kind of a 30-minute thing, and it's different, And Dave Rubin's a reformed lefty. He's wouldn't call him a Republican. I wouldn't call him a Democrat. He's what he calls himself a classic liberal. And that's the thing. It's just, the Democrat Party is not what it used to be. But anyway, we're not here to argue politics. I'm just telling you, the places I get what I consider reliable news. Rubin Report, at least he kind of keeps track of what's going on. Well, I'm sure with a little bit of a slant, but who cares? And then, sometimes I'll watch a half an hour of my local morning news, something local. And, when they start getting into the national stuff, I kind of ignore a lot of that. I don't pay, super attention. If I even turn it on, lately I haven't been. So, but it's my local news station. And, for you that are local, I watch the Fox 32 version of it, which comes from 9 and 10 News in Cadillac. I don't watch 7 and 4 anymore. I couldn't stand the gal they had on there, and I don't know if she's there anymore. And they had the cheesy weather guy that was actually sitting at the news desk, so now they got 2 weather guys on there, and it's okay. But the other one, at least they're a little more consistent, and I like Adam Bartlemay. He's been around a while. He was actually at 7 and 4 for a long time, and now he went away, went to Boise, Idaho, and then came back and it's been the morning guy for quite a while on 9 and 10. But anyway, I watch the Fox 32 there at 7 usually for 7 to 7:30 if I turn it on at all. Let's see, news podcasts. Now, there's a whole bunch of daily news podcasts now, and there's quite a variety of them. ABC, of course, has one. Michael Barbaro, I don't know which one he's on. New York Times has one. A lot of those. But I listen to 2 in particular. I listen to the one called Morning Wire, and that one's from the Daily Wire, which is out of Nashville. And I also listen to Daybreak Insider from Salem Radio. And they're I would say conservative leaning, I guess, but not so over the top. At least they talk about stuff in a way that doesn't make your blood boil if you're, into freedom, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to get too political, but you can guess where I'm at. Let's see. Other podcasts that I like that I consider pretty good information and if not anything else, entertaining. No Agenda with Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. They spend 3 hours twice a week deconstructing the news, as they call it. And, they may be tad bit biased to the right, but a lot of times they're not. And, it's fun to listen to those guys, and they make it entertaining, and it's worth listening to. Andrew Klavan, he's also from the Daily Wire. He does a weekly, and he's funnier than hell. His intros, it can't be beat. They're hilarious. I love it. So check out Andrew Klavan, and it's Klavan. There are no E's in Klavan. That's what he'll tell you anyway. And then I also listen to The Verdict with Ted Cruz. That one's kind of haphazard, but Senator Ted Cruz and Michael Knowles do a show called The Verdict, and it's pretty straightforward. Ted talks about, what's going on in the Senate and talks very frankly about it. And that's pretty cool. It's, like I said, it's not, it's not as, I don't know. It's not as partisan as you think. It is partisan, but, it's just not as off the right side as some of the other people are off to the left side. Let's see, other sources of information. Social media, none. I don't trust the information I see on any social media. I am on all the social medias because I have to for work. Mostly, I do utilize Facebook a little bit, for, taking jabs at things and, funny, mostly funny, what the hell, I'm funny. I like doing funny shit. And that's actually the thing I like the most about Facebook is, I can share funny shit with my family and folks and friends and whatnot. But like I said, Twitter, not so much. Definitely don't, pay a lot of attention to any of the news stories I see flying by on any of those things. And locals.com if you're into kind of a Twitter-like environment but want it a little more controlled. Locals is really good. It just got bought by Rumble, but it was started by Dave Rubin, and the Rubin Report is on there. Tulsi Gabbard, another Democrat, classic liberal, former congresswoman from Hawaii, and a lieutenant colonel in the California National Guard. I don't know why she wouldn't be in the Hawaii National Guard, but whatever. Maybe they don't have that kind of unit there, but she's a Army lieutenant colonel, so that's pretty impressive. And she makes a lot of sense, and I don't know, it's opinionated. Let's see, radio. I don't listen to a ton of radio. I do listen in the mornings on our local news talker, WTCM, AM 580. I usually listen to Ron Jolly. He's the morning guy from 7 to 10 or whatever, and Colleen Wares is in there. And I catch a little local news and stuff like that. They don't get too politicky, and I don't need it to be politicky. In fact, I don't want it to be politicky, but they do a little bit here and there. But only when they're in local programming. They've got the typical conservative talk radio the rest of the day, in place of what Rush Limbaugh was, whatever show took over for that. And you got Hannity and Levine, and I don't know, later in the evening what they do. I quit listening. Like I said, I listen to them usually from maybe 8:30 till 10 in the morning if I don't have meetings or whatever, just, kind of catch some local stuff. But like I said, mostly it's just those two podcasts, the Morning Wire and Daybreak Insider. It's my morning routine. And sometimes I'll listen to WKLT. That's the local rock station, which I'm occasionally on as well. So I guess that'd be a reason to listen once in a while. But the Omelet Show, Steve and his sidekick there, they do a lot of talking there. It's a rock station, so they play some rock music, classic rock, and sometimes that's just the thing. And then they talk about current events and sports and stuff, and nothing too heavy. The more normal morning zoo. And then occasionally I'll listen to WIAA, Interlochen Classical Radio, Interlochen Music Radio, and it's a classical station, but Kate Patello is the morning host there, and you might recognize her from Tech TV. She was Leo Laporte's sidekick on Tech TV, and then she went to that gaming show, and then she got married, moved to Traverse City, and had a web business for a while, and like I said, now she's the morning host on a classical radio station, which is kind of cool. During the school year, she has a little segment in there where she's playing classical music for kids, and it's an educational thing, and that's kind of a neat thing to hear her on the air. She's quite the character, I would say. So anyway, that's the gist of it for my news stuff. Like I said, I can't watch the mainstream media because, my God, you just watch and it's like, are you kidding me? They're just, it's the worst thing in the world and the worst thing in the world and then the worst thing in the world and then the worst thing in the world. And the world is not this bad. I promise you. It's not. I'm an optimist. It's not this bad. There's a lot of crazy crap going on out there, but you don't need to scare the living shit out of everybody. COVID is real and it has killed people and all that stuff, but it's not. It never deserved this big of a crazy scare thing. It was just a good crisis that they could use to screw up the entire world, and it's done a pretty good job so far. But it's still not as bad as if you watch the mainstream news. If you watch CNN, you're scared shitless all the time. Or MSNBC. In fact, if you really want to stay informed of what's important, listen to or watch MSNBC. And then know that everything they said was a lie and it's the opposite. And then you're probably going to be pretty well informed. But there's no reason to scare the crap out of everybody. Go on with your life. The sniffles aren't that bad. Yes, like I said, it can be dangerous, but so can the flu. So can getting run over by a bus. So can, it's risk. If you're susceptible to such things, don't lock down the rest of the people. This is the first time in history that people were quarantined that weren't sick. That's crazy. You quarantine the sick. You don't quarantine the not sick. So anyway, grumble, grumble, grouch, grouch. Like I said, I don't have all the facts. I don't ever claim to have all the facts. All I know is I'm living my life just fine without watching the NBC Nightly Scare or the CBS Evening, whatever they want to call it, or watching CNN or MSNBC or even Fox News or Newsmax or any of those. I don't need all that stuff in my life. I don't need to worry about every little damn thing going on in the government. I don't really care that much because it's not affecting me or it isn't affecting me that much. Yeah, it sucks that gas prices are up $1 a gallon. It sucks that things are, the supply chain's a little screwed up right now. That sucks. But it's not the end of the world, and we don't need to watch it for 24 hours a day on the news. Do yourself a favor. Don't watch the news so much. Just get the bits and pieces and go listen to some music. Go watch a car show on YouTube. Go do something like that. That's very much more productive than sitting around being scared. There's nothing to be that afraid of. I promise you, it's not that bad out there. It's not. All right. Well, enough enough ranting and raving by me. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Guy Fawkes Night, since it is the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November. I forget how that goes. It's a British thing, but we'll talk all about it tomorrow. Catch me later. Oh, yeah, one more thing before I go. I wanted to play this little clip I've got off of YouTube the other day. Actually, I heard it on the Ron Jolly show the other day, but I went ahead to YouTube and clipped it too, so I'll throw it on in here purely for comedy purposes. If this throws you off into your safe space, you might want to just turn this off now. Anyway, catch me later.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today I am going to teach you how to speak Bidenese. I'm going to teach you a few words and then we'll get the proper pronunciation and context from the master himself, President Joe Biden. The first word I'm going to teach you today is nextnosrent. Nextnosrent. President Biden will now demonstrate this word for us.
Donald Trump does pose an exostrength to this. It's not hypothetical.
It's not hypothetical. Nextnosrent. Okay, the next word we've got is badikefcare. Badikefcare. Say it. Try it. Badikefcare. President Biden.
Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad health care.
Next, my butt's been wet. Now, a common error on this one is people put the stress on the wrong syllable. It's not my butt's been wet. It's not my butt's been wet. It's my butt's been wet. Say it. My butt's been wet.
My butt's been wet.
Next, we have a word that's much simpler. Palmist. Palmist. Can you say palmist? President Biden, palmist.
And if we do, and I'm sure we can proclaim the palmist with the palmist who wrote these following words.
All right, now that you've got 4 words in the bag, we're going to move on to a really complex Bidenese word. Do you think you're ready for it? You're going to really have to pay attention here. This is sort of advanced level Bidenese. Very long word, okay? This is what it is. It's a very long word. Are you ready? Truender dash dubba de pressure. Truender dash dubba de pressure. One word. One word. Truender dash dubba de pressure. Say it a little more quickly. Truender dash dubba de pressure. Truender dash dubba de pressure. President Biden, go.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
Truender dash dubba de pressure. You guys did fantastic. You learned 5 new words in a new language, and now you know more Bidenese than you knew yesterday. What can I do but leave President Biden with the last word?
So I'm going to say something outrageous. I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done in the United States Senate. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, we're going to get a lot.
I got hairy legs.